At 11:47 p.m., inside one of the city's most luxurious hotels, a billionaire noticed something that made him stop in his tracks. At a small table sat Maya Carter, a struggling single mother studying for an accounting exam. Her coat was worn, her coffee was cold, and beside her, her 6-year-old son Ethan was asleep across 2 chairs, hugging his little blue backpack. The billionaire, Daniel Harrington, couldn't understand why they were there so late. Then Maya told him the truth. Her electricity had been shut off. She hadn't come to the hotel for herself. She came because she needed somewhere warm for her son to sleep. Daniel asked her why she kept studying when life was already so difficult. Maya looked at her sleeping boy and said she wanted him to grow up differently, and if she failed, Ethan would watch her get up and try again. Daniel suddenly went silent, because decades earlier, he had been the child sleeping on those chairs. By the next morning, Maya would discover that the stranger she'd been talking to wasn't just another hotel guest. And what he left on her table would change not only her life, but hundreds of lives after hers. At 11:47 p.m., the Grand Meridian Hotel was almost silent. The marble lobby that had been crowded with executives and tourists only hours earlier now felt enormous and empty. A soft piano melody played through hidden speakers. Outside, rain streaked down the tall glass windows, turning the lights of the city into blurry rivers of gold. At a small table near the hotel cafe sat a woman named Maya Carter. She looked completely out of place. Her coat was old. Her shoes were wet from the rain. A backpack rested against her chair, stuffed with notebooks, loose papers, and what looked like a college textbook held together with tape. But none of that was what made people notice her. Beside Maya, stretched across 2 chairs pushed together, was a little boy. He couldn't have been older than 6. His head rested on his mother's folded jacket, and a blue backpack was tucked against his chest like a teddy bear. He was deeply asleep. Maya kept glancing at him while writing rapidly in her notebook. She whispered numbers under her breath. 24,000, minus operating expenses. She erased something, tried again, then rubbed her tired eyes. On the table beside her sat a half-empty cup of coffee that had probably gone cold hours ago. What Maya didn't know was that someone had been watching her. Across the lobby stood Daniel Harrington. At 52, Daniel was one of the wealthiest men in the country. His technology and logistics empire employed more than 40,000 people. Business magazines regularly photographed him stepping out of private jets or standing beside politicians and CEOs. That evening, Daniel had been attending an investment conference upstairs. He had come down because he couldn't sleep. But when he saw Maya, something made him stop. At first, he assumed she was waiting for someone. Then 10 minutes passed.
20.
She never stopped studying. Finally, Daniel walked toward her. Maya didn't notice until his shadow crossed her notebook. She immediately looked up. "I'm sorry," she said. "Is the cafe closing?" Daniel shook his head.
No.
"I was just wondering what you're studying." Maya hesitated. "Accounting. College." She gave a tired smile. "Community college." Daniel pointed toward the sleeping child. "Your son." Her expression softened. "Ethan." Daniel pulled out the chair across from her. "Do you mind?" Maya looked confused, but nodded. Daniel sat. "Why are you studying in a hotel lobby at midnight?" For a moment, Maya looked embarrassed. Then she laughed quietly. "Because it's warm." Daniel's smile disappeared. Maya looked back at her notebook. "The library closes at 10. My apartment building's electricity was shut off this afternoon. I paid most of the bill, but apparently most doesn't keep the lights on." She nodded toward Ethan. "I didn't want him sleeping in the cold, so we came here." Daniel stared at her. "You brought your son to a hotel lobby so you could study?" "So he could sleep somewhere warm." That answer hit differently. Daniel looked at the little boy. "Where's his father?" Maya's pencil stopped. "He's not around." "I'm sorry. Don't be." She said it without bitterness. Just exhaustion. Daniel noticed several envelopes sticking from her backpack. One had final notice printed across the front. "You work 2 jobs. 2. Hospital cafeteria in the mornings. Cleaning offices 4 nights a week. And college 3 classes. Daniel stared at her. When do you sleep? Maya smiled. That's the expensive part. For the first time that evening, Daniel laughed. Then he pointed at the textbook. Why accounting? Maya's expression changed. The exhaustion was still there, but something stronger appeared beneath it. Determination. Because I want Ethan to grow up differently. She looked at her sleeping son. My mother cleaned houses. I clean offices. There's nothing shameful about honest work, but I don't want survival to be the only thing my family passes from one generation to the next. Daniel said nothing. Maya continued. One day, I'm going to have my own accounting firm. You sound certain. I have to be. Daniel leaned back. And if you fail? Maya looked directly at him. Then Ethan watches me get up and try again. The answer froze Daniel. Because 37 years earlier, another woman had said almost the same thing. His mother. Before the money. Before the companies. Before anyone knew his name. Daniel had grown up watching his mother work overnight shifts while raising 3 children alone. For years, he had told interviewers that he was self-made. Sitting across from Maya, he suddenly realized that wasn't entirely true. Someone had carried him long before he could carry himself. Daniel stood. Maya looked surprised. Good luck with your exam. Thank you. He began walking away, then stopped. Without turning around, he asked, When is it? Tomorrow morning. Daniel smiled. You'll pass. Maya laughed softly. You sound certain. Daniel glanced back. I have to be. And then he disappeared into the elevator. Maya had no idea who he was. And she certainly had no idea what he was about to do. At 7:15 the next morning, Maya woke with her head on the table. Her eyes widened. Ethan, I'm awake, Mommy. He was sitting beside her eating a muffin. Maya blinked. Where did you get that? The boy pointed toward the cafe counter. The lady gave it to me. Maya checked the time and nearly jumped from her chair. Her exam started at 8. She shoved her notebooks into her backpack. Then she noticed something on the table. A white envelope. Her name was written across the front. Maya Carter. She frowned. Inside was a business card. Daniel Harrington, Chairman. Harrington Global. Maya stared at it. Her stomach dropped. She knew that name. Everyone knew that name. The man from last night. Behind the card was a handwritten note. Pass your exam. Then call me. Nothing else. Maya almost laughed. It had to be a joke. But she didn't have time to investigate. She grabbed Ethan's hand and hurried into the rain. 3 hours later, Maya walked out of the examination room feeling as if she'd survived a storm. She waited until Ethan was at school. Then she called the number. A receptionist answered. Harrington Global. How may I direct your call? Maya nearly hung up. Instead, she whispered. My name is Maya Carter. Mr. Harrington gave me this number. There was a pause. Then, yes, Miss Carter. He's expecting your call. 20 minutes later, Daniel's voice came through. How was the exam? Maya smiled despite herself. I think I passed. You did. You don't know that. I've invested billions based on less confidence than you showed me last night. Maya laughed. Then Daniel became serious. I'd like you to come to my office tomorrow. Why? I have something to discuss with you. The following afternoon, Maya entered Harrington Global's headquarters wearing the nicest clothes she owned. The building intimidated her. Glass elevators, security guards, people in expensive suits moving as if every second were worth money. Daniel met her personally. He led her into his office on the 41st floor. Maya sat nervously. Daniel placed a folder in front of her. Open it. Inside was a letter from her college. She read the first paragraph, then stopped. Her tuition had been paid. All of it, not just for the semester, until graduation. Maya looked up. No. Daniel frowned. No. I can't accept this. Why? Because I didn't ask you for money. Exactly. Maya pushed the folder toward him. Mr. Harrington, I'm grateful. I really am. But I don't want Ethan growing up believing strangers rescue you when life gets hard. Daniel studied her, then smiled. Good. Good. He removed another document from his desk. That's why this isn't charity. He placed it in front of her. It was a job offer.
Part-time.
Junior bookkeeping assistant at one of Harrington Global's charitable foundations. The hours fit around her classes. The salary was almost twice what she earned working both of her current jobs. And the tuition? A company education benefit. Maya covered her mouth. Daniel continued. There's childcare included. Her eyes filled with tears. Why are you doing this? Daniel walked toward the window. For several seconds, he didn't answer. Then he said, My mother died 8 years ago. Maya remained silent. She worked nights when I was young. Sometimes she'd bring me with her because there was nobody to watch me. Daniel turned. I slept on chairs while she worked. Maya looked down. Daniel's voice became quieter. When I saw Ethan beside you, I didn't see your son. He swallowed. I saw myself. Maya wiped a tear from her cheek. Daniel returned to the desk. But there's one condition. Maya immediately became cautious. What? Someday, when you're successful, you're going to meet someone who's exhausted, scared, and still trying. He pushed the contract toward her. When that happens, remember this room. Maya looked at the signature line, then at Daniel. And help them?
No.
Daniel shook his head. Give them an opportunity to help themselves. Maya picked up the pen.
And signed.
10 years passed. A lot can change in 10 years. Maya graduated near the top of her class. She became a certified accountant. She spent 5 years working for Harrington Global before leaving to start the business she'd once described in a hotel lobby at midnight. Carter Financial Group. It began with Maya and one employee, then 5, then 20. Eventually, more than 200 people worked for her. And Ethan? The little boy who once slept across 2 hotel chairs was now 16.
Tall.
Curious. And convinced his mother could accomplish anything. Daniel remained part of their lives. Not as a billionaire benefactor. As family. Then one November evening, Maya received an invitation. Harrington Global was celebrating its 50th anniversary. Daniel was retiring. Thousands of employees, investors, journalists, and business leaders filled a massive ballroom. Maya sat near the stage with Ethan. Daniel approached the microphone. He gave a short speech about business, failure, and responsibility. Then he surprised everyone. There's one final person I'd like you to hear from. The screen behind him displayed an old photograph, a hotel lobby, a corner table, and 2 empty chairs. Maya froze. Daniel looked toward her. Maya? The audience applauded. She slowly walked onto the stage. Daniel hugged her, then whispered, Tell them what happened next. Maya stepped toward the microphone. She looked at thousands of faces, then at Ethan, and finally at Daniel. 10 years ago, she began, I was sitting in a hotel lobby studying for an accounting exam while my 6-year-old son slept beside me. The room became silent. I had $7 in my bank account. My electricity had been disconnected, and I was pretending not to be terrified. She looked at Daniel. That night, a stranger sat across from me. Several people smiled. He didn't tell me he was wealthy. He didn't lecture me about success. He simply asked questions. Maya paused. The next day, that stranger changed my life. Daniel lowered his head, but not because he gave me money. Maya turned toward the audience. He gave me something more valuable.
A door.
Her voice trembled. And he trusted me enough to walk through it myself. The audience erupted in applause. But Maya raised her hand. There's one part Daniel doesn't know. Daniel looked confused. Maya smiled. 3 years ago, Carter Financial started a program called the Open Door Initiative. The screen changed. Photographs appeared. Single mothers graduating from college. Fathers completing trade programs. Young people receiving professional certifications. Families holding diplomas. Maya continued. We provide flexible jobs, childcare, and tuition assistance to parents trying to finish their education. Daniel stared at the screen. 217 people have completed the program. The audience applauded again. Maya looked directly at him. You told me that someday I'd meet someone exhausted, scared, and still trying. Her voice cracked. You were right. Daniel wiped his eyes. But there wasn't just one. Maya smiled. There were hundreds. Then Ethan walked onto the stage carrying something. A simple white envelope. He handed it to Daniel. Daniel opened it. Inside was a photograph. It showed Maya sitting at the old hotel table 10 years earlier. Ethan was asleep beside her. Someone from the hotel security staff had apparently captured the moment. On the back, Maya had written, "One open door can become 1,000. Daniel stared at those words for a long time. Then the billionaire who had negotiated billion-dollar deals, addressed world leaders, and built an empire from nothing began to cry. He hugged Maya. Then Ethan. And for nearly a minute, thousands of people stood and applauded. But the story didn't end there. Later that night, after the ballroom had emptied, Maya found Daniel standing alone near a window. "You okay?" she asked. Daniel smiled. "I spent most of my life believing success was measured by what you build. And now..." He looked toward the photograph in his hands. "Now I think it's measured by what keeps growing after you're gone." Maya nodded. Then Daniel laughed. "Your mother would be proud," she said. Daniel looked out at the city. "I hope so." Maya touched his shoulder. "I'm sure." Downstairs, Ethan was waiting. Before Maya left, Daniel called her name. She turned. "Did you ever find out your score on that exam?" Maya grinned. 98. Daniel raised an eyebrow. "What happened to the other 2%? Maya laughed. "I was tired."
They both laughed.
Then Maya walked toward the elevator. 10 years earlier, she had entered that hotel lobby because she needed somewhere warm for her child to sleep. She believed she was simply trying to survive one more night. She couldn't have known that someone would notice her. She couldn't have known that one conversation would alter the direction of her life. And Daniel couldn't have known that helping one exhausted mother would eventually help hundreds of families he'd never meet. Because sometimes the most unforgettable acts of kindness aren't the ones that rescue someone. They're the ones that recognize the strength already inside them and simply open a door.